Good to see so many here, brothers and sisters and friends. A warm welcome to everybody. Have you ever read an obituary column in your local newspaper, or seen a report on a deceased person's life and accomplishments? Perhaps you've thought, how will people remember me after I die? Will they view me in a positive light or in a negative light? How would you like to be remembered by those who have known you, and more importantly, by God? So although it is not our purpose to eulogize the deceased, it is appropriate that we share some information about Carla, her personality, and her good qualities. Yes, Carla died or passed away on Tuesday, the 4th of August, at 8:25 a.m. after prolonged struggle, often in intense pain, against cancer. Yes, Carla was born in Asmara, which is the capital of Eritrea, in 1945. She was the third of 6 children born to loving Italian parents. And then she came to South Africa with her family in 1960 at the age of 15. And there she quickly qualified as a hairdresser. She married Roberta in Durban in 1966, and she always said that the moment she laid eyes on him, she knew this is the man she wanted to marry. In April this year, Carla and Roberta were happily married for 43 years. She was dedicated and baptized as one of Jehovah's Witnesses in 1969. It's a long time. Due to the nature of Roberta's work, it necessitated their moving to many different towns and cities. Carla and Roberta lived in approximately 16 different homes in Zimbabwe, Palabora, Umtata, Pinetown, King Williamstown, Pretoria, Empangeni, East London, Durban, and finally Johannesburg. Of course, this was a challenge for Carla, moving around all the time. But she always had a positive attitude toward her surroundings, and with the help of her brothers and sisters, she quickly settled in to the local congregation. In the process, she produced 3 wonderful children, of whom she was always very proud, namely Daniela, Michele, if that's pronounced correctly, and Giancarlo. She was pleased to be a stay-at-home mom and devoted her life to raising their children and looking after Roberta. You can imagine moving around so much. She accumulated many different friends in many different provinces. And Carla loved and supported her friends and Bible studies through many trials and tribulations. She never hesitates to reach out and help someone in need. And it's true that we do inherit certain qualities from our forefathers. It was no different with Carla. She inherited the ability to paint from her maternal grandmother, who recognized her talent and left her with her oil paints and brushes. And anyone who knows Carla knows that she was a fine artist. And perhaps one of her paintings is hanging up in your own home. It gave Carla great pleasure to share her talent with others. She gave art classes to many of her friends, who also went on to experience the joy of painting. But something else that we recall about Carla is she always had a lot of photographs in her handbag, photographs of her grandchildren, Julia, Blake, Megan, Ryan, Gabriella, and Laura. Carla loved being a nonna or a granny and was very involved with her grandchildren. Her son-in-law Peter and daughters-in-law Marlies and Delia loved Carla dearly, and Carla had the greatest respect for them. I'm sure you'll agree one of Carla's outstanding qualities was her empathy and concern for others. Even when she was in pain, she seemed to be more concerned with you visiting her than with her own pain. So what a wonderful quality that is. Yes, Carla's children speak of how at the drop of a hat she would board a plane or catch a bus to be with them when they needed her. Jean, Carla and Delia are especially grateful for the time she spent in London, helping them cope during the trauma of the premature birth of Laura. And Carla had a special relationship with her children, with Daniela. They were very close. And Michele and Giancarlo are very grateful for the devoted daily support that Daniela gave to Mom and Dad whilst they lived in other countries. But not only that, Carla also had a special place in her heart for the elderly. In fact, I was told when she was staying in Durban, she was very proud of her hairdressing work at an old age home. When they stayed in East London, she was an art teacher also at an old age home. Her fraternal sisters, Clara, Elena, and Isabella, and her brother, Basso, have shown incredible kindness and loyalty to Carla. Isabella made the long trip all the way from Alaska to be with her dear sister. They've always been there for her and Roberto, and have always been very, very supportive. And also Roberto, he was known as being a protective guardian and very patient and consistent. And he also wants to express his appreciation for all of their loving friends and visitors that have supported them in their time of need. Carla was a faithful witness, always regular in the ministry. And for many years she would also take the time to auxiliary pioneer in April. And up until just a few months ago, she was still able and willing to participating in the truth to others. Brothers and sisters used to bring their Bible studies to her, and she had a share in helping them there. So what a wonderful quality she showed there. When Roberto returned to the truth, Carla always mentioned how much she enjoyed the daily spiritual routine with him, the day's text, the Bible reading, and their praying together. And the family would also like to thank Monica, which was Carla's nurse, Joanne, a nursing sister from hospice, and Thelma, who took care of the home. But besides what we've already mentioned, there were some other wonderful qualities about Carla that one of the sisters actually brought to our attention. Namely, being an artist, she had an eye for detail. And she would always point out things in nature when they walked together, her and her sister. She was always happy and optimistic, which showed in her colorful paintings, and she also had a zest for life. She was an amazing granny who always took time to spend with the little ones. She was caring, gave of herself freely, without expecting anything in return. What a wonderful quality that is. Now, we all know that Roberto is a very quiet brother, and Carla would say that she had to speak her 1,000 words a day. As my father always used to tell us, don't give me 1,000 words. So we know where that expression came from. So Roberto certainly got his 1,000 words a day. She cared about people even when she was desperately ill, and she would always ask the family visiting, how are you? How is your family doing? Yes, in her time of darkness, she was courageous and strong, and Jehovah certainly provided her with strength beyond what was normal. With that in mind, brothers and sisters and friends, please open up your Bibles with me to Ecclesiastes chapter 7. And when we reflect on Carla and her personality and her good qualities, certainly when we read Ecclesiastes 7 verse 1, we note it says there, a name is better than good oil, and the day of death than the day of one's being